What is going on, my super sandwiches? Rhymestyle here, and today I just want to kind of sit down and talk about the Dragon Ball FighterZ situation, which a lot of you guys might not even know is happening. So, also to kind of help, I brought out Lotus, who is an avid FighterZ player. I mean, I play FighterZ a lot, but Lotus plays FighterZ, and he also sometimes thinks about going pro with FighterZ. I don't know.
Whoa,
he plays a lot of FighterZ, basically.
I ain't say all that. Now I'm buns at the game.
Well, no. Well, the reason why I brought you specifically is because, like, as an up-and-coming player who, like, potentially would go, like, locals and stuff like that, this affects you. So, obviously, by the title of the video, it's titled Dragon Ball FighterZ is canceled, and a lot of you guys are like, what does that even mean? I thought the game was successful. It was! 3.5 million copies sold in the past year. One of the most popular games as far as tournament play, right? Or is there something better?
The most popular game, right? Like the only thing that competes, the only thing that comes even close is Street Fighter, and sometimes Street Fighter outdoes it. But we all know what the biggest tournament in the world is, Evo. And FighterZ had the most viewers and the most entrants.
If I remember correctly, it was between 255,000 or 260,000 concurrent viewers too during the grand finals, which is like the most. I think it's the most viewed. It's the most viewed game at Evo ever, right?
I don't know about ever, but I'm pretty sure it was. But it was hands down the most viewed this year. Yeah.
So what is happening with all the success of FighterZ? Well, they're canceling. They're canceling tournaments. I don't know why they're doing this. So to kind of break down the timeline, so this is what happened. Evo Japan announced their lineup, I want to say, about a week ago, and for some reason, it had everything about FighterZ, and I'm like, well, maybe they're focusing on.
There was a certain most popular fighting game of the year that was missing from the roster, you know?
Yeah, it also won Fighting Game of the Year, and it was missing on the roster. Now, my initial thought when I saw that list was, oh, well, maybe it's just because, you know, they're doing the Dragon Tour stuff, which is ending, or Dragon Ball Tour. What's it called? Dragon Ball Tour?
The Dragon Ball the Dragon Ball FighterZ World Tour, and that's what my logic was. I was like, okay, maybe they don't want it in Japan because it's going to be around the same time as the World Tour, and they want all the focus and attention on that, which would have made sense, but turns out that's not quite the case.
No. Because Anime Ascension, which is supposed to be another tournament, which I believe was supposed to be in February, announced that they had to mysteriously pull out FighterZ, and they didn't really do any details. Until the information came out that, well, initially people said it was Toei doing it, but it doesn't make sense for it to be Toei, because Toei owns a license to Dragon Ball Animation, Bandai owns a license to merch, and Shueisha owns the IP. It's a Shueisha thing. Essentially, it sounds like Shueisha wants to either get a piece of the pie, or they just want overall control, or maybe they just care about their IP. To show you how like strict Shueisha is, technically, me, Lotus, you viewing, you technically can't post a picture of Goku on Twitter without getting permission first, which sounds wild, right? But like that's how protected they are with their IP. So my theory is maybe either they realize how big FighterZ has gotten, and now they either want to like either get like, you know, a piece of the pie, like I said, number one. Number two, they just want overall control. Or three, they just want to make sure that people get permission to use their IP first, even though it's a Bandai thing. And what's going to happen is we're going to see a lot less FighterZ tournaments. Now, Lotus, why is that a problem?
It's a huge problem because this is actually, like, quite literally going to kill the game. Because, for one, like, one of the reasons why this game has been such a huge commercial success and just successful in every way imaginable that it could be is because of all the hype and popularity of it at these tournaments. Like, it's like everyone loves playing the game, and if it's it's the hypest spectator sport that the FGC has right now. It's like whether people love it or hate it, everyone's watching it, despite what they might say. And if it's not going to be at these major tournaments, viewership goes down, or viewership is not existing because it's not there.
Viewership goes down, popularity goes down, future content goes down.
Right. People have less interest in the game, and there are people who are actually making their livelihoods, you know, playing this game. There are players like Nat Keel, for example, right? Like Nat Keel, he's been playing fighting games for years, right? You know, he's a very competent BlazBlue player, one of the best out there, right? Really, really fucking good. But if we're just being honest, he didn't really get, like, you know, known until, or at least, you know, in the public eye outside of the BlazBlue community, he didn't really get known until FighterZ, and then he got sponsored by Panda Global to play FighterZ, and he gets to travel the world to play FighterZ. And there's other people like him, like Hook Gang God, who's been a Guilty Gear player and a Persona player for however long, right? But he made his debut and you know, became famous, if you want to say, because of FighterZ. Gets to travel the world because of FighterZ. And there's even like streamers and YouTubers of some of you guys out there who
that's something I want to know is are they going to come after content creators next? So look, this is my problem with it. So it's not Bandai Japan doing it. Bandai Japan are smart. They know that if there's content being created, whether it be through Twitch, YouTube, or these tournaments, content is content. sells numbers. Like what happens is Bandai, they pay Shueisha for a license, and it's like, yeah, you do whatever you want. Now Bandai can go out there and figure out the best way to maximize profits, and they do this by allowing stuff like this, like content creation, streams, all that stuff. They're winning end of the day because the more eyes on the game, the more copies that they sell. Now, what Shueisha is doing is they technically make money off of the licensing fees that that they get from Bandai, and the more money that Bandai makes, the more they license in the future. It's like a never-ending loop. But what this ends up happening is they're literally like putting down they're closing the gate. It's like, hey, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and just kind of reduce the popularity of this because Again, I don't know if they want to control their IP more or they want to get a piece of the pie. I saw a rumor going around that they want to charge, what, 25 grand for the tournaments?
Allegedly. We weren't able to find a source on that specifically, but that is a quote that we saw getting passed around. People were saying that allegedly, supposedly, Shueisha wanted to charge a $25,000 licensing fee to tournament organizers in order to have fighters at their event, which is wild and counterproductive because they'd be making way more just off of the publicity they'd be gaining from allowing it at these tournaments anyway.
So what happens now is I mean, we're obviously going to get a couple or maybe a handful of tournaments over the course of 2019. That is, unless they change their mind and like stop doing what they're doing. And what that's going to do is that's going to overall decrease the popularity of the game. If the numbers go down, there's going to be less to come out of it. I mean, you guys saw what happened in past Dragon Ball games. So the second that the numbers didn't meet goals, you didn't get sequels. We're not. We could potentially not get a FighterZ 2. We could potentially not get a season. I mean, I feel like we're gonna get season 2. It's kind of stupid not to do it because of how popular it was.
Because I'm still pretty confident that like my expectation and many others, the thing that makes the most sense is that we were gonna get a season 2 announcement at the World Finals in January. And if that's the case, it's probably stuff that they're already working on, and it'd be a huge waste of like resources and time and shit if they were to throw whatever they've been working on away because it's so soon to announcement.
But like future stuff past that, it's like it could put a cap on like how far they can go with the game.
Right.
And the reason why I also brought Lotus on here is again, Lotus is a guy who's been playing the game a lot over the course of the year. And I'm sure you thought about going to locals here or there, but it's like now why would you want to invest in it? Why would you want to invest in yourself in getting better at the game that literally has a future that's in jeopardy as far as like how far you can go with it?
And that's the sad part because
go play something else.
That's the mindset a lot of people have. I've seen countless people on Twitch, on YouTube, on Twitter that are like, well, I guess I'm not going to play the game anymore, or I'm going to go invest my time into a different game, or I guess I'm just going to wait for Mortal Kombat, or I'm going to, fully go all the way with Smash because the way it's looking right now, there's not a very hopeful future for fighters, especially in the competitive sense. And then not only does the competitive scene get hurt a lot, but then the casual scene gets hurt a lot because they want to watch the game. They want to watch people play the game, and then they might not want to pick up the game at all because there's no point in getting better at the game. It's not a good look at all the way around.
I mean, hopefully what I think is going to happen here, and this is just me really being hopeful, is I hope that whatever Shueisha or Toei or whoever's behind this, whatever they do with it, they fail with it. Because honestly, I feel like sometimes you got to get your hand burned before you realize that, what you had was like, you had some fire, and now you're burning yourself.
Right, one of those things where like you don't really know what you have till it's gone. Like hopefully they realize that like this is a mistake, and they'll see that mistake when it backfires on it, and they're like, okay. Because
here's
like
the issue though. Here's the issue though. Here's the issue. This is what I was gonna point out. Now we're gonna have that period in time where something else can take over. The reason why FighterZ was so successful, other than it being a Dragon Ball IP, was because of the stuff that happened with Marvel. When Marvel flopped, they needed something to fill up that space, and Bandai, they took advantage of that. They released FighterZ, and literally it took place what Marvel was supposed to be.
And boy, let me tell you something, the Marvel scene is definitely out here in full effect, trying to capitalize on this shit. Be like, yeah, y'all should come over. Like, nah, hold on. Don't get it twisted, Marvel fans. We still ain't forgive Capcom for Infinite. We still.
Well, the point is if this takes an X amount of time for Shueisha to realize, oh, yo, revert, like all the decisions we made about this, let's change our minds, and something else takes over, then something else is going to take over. Like, FighterZ is a good game, but like another fighting game can replace it at any point, because in the FTC, it's all about like what's the best fighting game out as far as like mechanics and gameplay. Like,
right. And what's really going to end up happening is that Fighters just fall to the wayside. Street Fighter will be back to being on top because Fighters, let's be honest, is the only thing that's competing with it at all. Mortal Kombat will do well because NRS is always very supportive of their games in every way possible when it comes to balancing and monetary support. It is weird, but like that's just
supporting their game,
right? It's unheard of. Like, but yeah, it's funny because this isn't the first time something like this happened. Nintendo tried something with Melee, very similar, like a while back, and lo and behold, it didn't work out. And they realized that they realized they screwed up, and they were like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that. And you would have thought Shueisha would have maybe learned a lesson or so from that. Would have learned from someone else's mistakes and thought not to do better, but I guess not.
I don't know. I just hope that they realize it before it's too late. Because again, if another fighting game replaces, like the FGC, they didn't care about fighters because it's Dragon Ball. They cared about fighters because it was a good fighting game at the time, over like what people wanted it as like the next Marvel essentially. And if another, you know what? If I was a developer and I was working on a game, I would put something out like right now. Yo, by the way, we want to announce this. You know, if you can't do fighters, you'll come to our game. Like, I would work on something. But again, the question is how long would it take Shueisha to realize what they're doing is not the right way to go about it. And the other sad part is I don't even know what to tell people what we can do about it. Because, like, normally you make a video like this and say, hey, do X, Y, and Z. But there's nothing, we can't tell you to tweet at Bandai because obviously Bandai wants these tournaments to happen. And Bandai, as much support, I mean, I don't know, you might tweet at Bandai.
That's definitely one thing that needs to be stressed, though. This is not Bandai's fault. They don't have any control over the situation. Like, yeah, we can talk to them about it, and hopefully they could try to help out in some way, but they're not the ones responsible for, like, shutting down these tournaments. If anything, they want these tournaments just as much as we do.
Yeah, because it makes them money. So, honestly, I don't know what to do in this situation other than the fact of just, let's just see what happens. Once Shueisha joins us in 2019, you know, and they leave that 1956 mentality, you know, living in the past, and realize that the internet is good, these events and this content creation is amazing for these games. Once they realize that, then maybe we might be back in the same situation as we were this past year. But the question is how much damage will be done to fighters? Because I feel like by the time they realize it, it's gonna be too late. People are not gonna care about fighters tournaments as much anymore. All the top players would have already moved on to the next game.
And that's what sucks, because if they take so long, like, people are already, like, a lot of, like, not some of the top players, right? But people are already backing out of the game. So how long until top players, sponsors, esports teams and shit start backing out? And then, like, by the time Shueisha realizes the error of their ways, it's too late because everyone stops supporting it.
Yeah. I don't know. There's really nothing else we can say about this. Like I said, if you have any thoughts about this, let us know in the comment section below. Again, I don't know what we can do to send. So, like, I saw petitions going around, but let's be real, they're not going to do anything because at the end of the day, it's a cultural thing. And Shueisha in Japan in general, they're just really protective of the IP. So when it comes down to it, they're going to see it one way until they take the damage, I guess, and realize, oh, maybe we should see it the other way. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comment section below. Hit that thumbs up, and let's just see what happens. But hopefully, they realize it's a lot sooner than later, because I love fighters. I love watching these tournaments, and last thing I want to see a game as successful as fighters fall flat now because of the license holders. Right. Like that's wild.
This is my favorite Dragon Ball game ever made at this point. It's my favorite fighting game out right now, hands down, and it would really suck to see it go downhill like this.
Yeah, I don't know. Let us know your thoughts down below, and I guess, well, let's see what the community says. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Rhyme. That was Lotus. All this information in the description below. Hopefully, they don't go after content creators next, because, like, I feel like they could potentially do that, in which case, I wouldn't even know what to do at that point, but, like, hopefully, we don't go down that far into the rabbit hole of shit that they shouldn't be doing, but whatever. Anyways, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.